We have small business owners here, and I know the people in Washington watch the show. And now it's their turn. Since they won't meet with you, we thought we would just bring a little town hall meeting to them, and they can watch it like cowards in their office going, okay. So, your chance to talk, guys. Yes.
Well, Glenn, we started our business 19 years ago. And I feel as though well, first of all, we've had our ups and downs like many people in the room have had ups and downs over the years. But I feel that since January, when they increased the tax rate on S corporations, those people making over $250,000 a year. First of all, do you know how many people don't understand how an S corp works?
I barely do.
That just floors me. I mean, people think that all that money the company makes, let's say we have a good year, we make $300,000 or $400,000, it goes into my pocket.
Right.
It doesn't go into my pocket. It goes to create jobs. It goes to increase expenditures in R&D and build a business.
Okay, your business real quick again is?
Analytical instruments.
And real quick, I'll come back to you. Explain an S corp in 10 seconds.
Well, very simple. 2 out of 3 of the people, those evil rich people who Barack Obama and the Democrats want to tax, 2 out of 3 are S corps like James. Those are the people who create the jobs.
Okay,
now, how are you going to get more jobs?
What is an S corp, real quick?
An S corp is basically just like a small business, basically,
okay.
that pays its profits through the individual income tax.
An S corp has to pay the taxes, the owner, when the profits are realized. December 31st is your fiscal year end. You might not have collected that money, but on paper, your accountant says to you, you just made $300,000 this year. It's not in your checking account yet. Your customers haven't paid you, but that's what your profit is.
It's in your inventory. And
so you have to pay the tax effect, which is right now 35.6%, going to 39.6%.
No, going over to 50%.
I know, and now it's going up.
Wait. People don't understand this. Again, America, if you are working if you're working in a company, what is the definition of a small business? How many employees?
Under 500.
Less than 250, less than 500 people. Most of us work for that. Then this is why you can't just say, hey, screw the evil rich person, because give me the taxes, run down the taxes, what it's going to be, all of the additional.
Right now we're 35%.
35%.
Plus they want 5% for health care.
5%.
Plus they want 5% to repeal the Bush tax cuts.
5%.
Plus states like California, New York, Oregon, New Jersey have a 10%.
10.9.
Ohio, another 10%. Add all that up, I think comes up to about 55%.
Yeah, we came up with 54.
Payroll taxes, 6%. You match your employees' FICA.
That's right. And that's not going up to 8, is it not?
Yeah, and additionally.
Well, we paid $250,000 this year in payroll tax for 47 people.
Plus your workman's comp, liability insurance, and all the other stuff that we put on top of that we have to cover.
So who's got a message for Washington?
I'm going to jump in and explain why this is happening. It's not just attitudinal. I saw you on the show a couple weeks ago. You were talking about basically oligarchy, the idea that powerful guys have hijacked our government. If you're GM, you can pick up the phone and you have a personal senator you can call and get a bailout. If you're one of the big Wall Street banks, you can. If your union is powerful enough, you have a senator or congressman you can call and get the bailout. Small businesses, you guys don't own your own personal senators and congressmen. That would have been a better investment.
Here's the problem. We don't have lobbyists.
That's right.
Americans don't have lobbyists.
Right.
Lobbyists didn't happen, correct me if I'm wrong, Judge, you may know this. Lobbyists they began in World War I under Woodrow Wilson.
Absolutely.
And it was one guy who said, you know what, because of World War I, some of my people need representation because they build the military. Well, after World War I is over, he planned on going home and he went, wait a minute, there's a lot of money to be made here. And that's when it happened. And it really kicked in during World War II.
We should think that members of Congress are there to hear our views and to vote in ways to enhance our freedom. They don't. They're only interested in special interest groups that have the numbers that they believe will guarantee their re-election.
And I'll bet there's not a single person here who can afford to hire a lobbyist.
Anybody have a lobbyist? No. Yeah. Anybody make giant? You have a lobbyist?
Yeah, but just to fight Wall Street. So it's okay.
Think about your first job. Your first job, most likely, you worked for a small business. Has a poor person ever given you a job? Yet, somehow or another, we're eating the rich, but not the uber rich. We're helping them get even richer. We're just helping eat the person that actually probably gave you your first job or somebody like that. This next 2 segments, I just want you guys to address 2 people. Anybody in Washington that has power, tell them what you want them to hear. And 2, if anybody has anything to say to the American people that you think they don't get it, they don't understand, or please help us, this is what you can do. Who wants to start? Yes, ma'am.
I will. At the risk of being lynched in this crowd, I wanted to say as a sidebar, absolutely the government should be supporting the National Endowment for the Arts, because do you understand that every dollar spent in the community that the National Endowment for the Arts spends is exponentially supports small business? The best thing that the governments can do
Do you know they're
is reinvest.
funding porn?
But you
They're
know what?
funding porn at the National Endowment for the Arts.
And is Shakespeare porn?
I'm all for operas and symphony
He means
orchestras.
actual boom chicka porn. We're not talking about Shakespeare porn.
Why can't
It's
charities
real
support
porn.
that? Why do we need the government
Let me
to
ask
pay
you
for that?
this. Let me ask you
We
this.
absolutely need the government to pay for it.
Let me ask. We need the government to pay for that.
This is
Is the government paying for your business? Is the government paying for your business? Is the government paying for your business? Do you help out the communities that you
Yes,
serve
on my
in?
own.
Do you help
On
out the
my own.
communities that you serve in? How about you, Carmines? Do you help out the communities you serve in?
Preclude the government from
Where do they get the
supporting
money?
Where do they get, not the money, where do they get the power, Judge? Where do they get the power?
They claim they get the power in the Constitution. They have exceeded the Constitution and come up with ridiculous bases to justify their having the power.
Okay, let me go to Steve. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, just if I could agree with the judge, who's one of my heroes. It's beyond the National Endowment for the Arts. Our government routinely, and you know this, Glenn, almost everything they do nowadays is unconstitutional. So this whole mess here is rooted in the fact that they kind of make up the rules as they're going along. They just think something is a good idea, so they say, let's do it. I mean, all these bailouts, they're constitutionally dubious at best. National Endowment of the Arts is an egregious example.
You know what?
But it goes on
you
and
know
on
what?
and on.
Look, you want the National Endowment for the Arts? Fine. But how about the, what is it, $700 million that we've just spent on wild horses? Our country is burning down to the ground. We need to make some priorities. I say Sesame Street isn't brought to you by the letter A, but Sesame Street is brought to you by someone who actually has money to pay for Sesame Street. Yes, go ahead.
My question in Washington is, you can't solve this problem yourself. Let small business help solve this problem. Give us credit, give us a chance, and we can help the country get out of this mess. We don't have to wait for a stimulus package. We don't need cars and cash for clunkers. Let me have cash for cannolis. I'll go out and I'll open restaurants and create jobs.
Let me ask him, how much credit would it take to open a new restaurant for 225 jobs, you said?
For us,
How much would that take?
we would need credit line maybe of $1 million, something
that's
simple as that.
Wait.
$1,000 a job.
Hang on just a second. How much would it take to open up a new restaurant?
Okay, when we finance a restaurant, we do our own money,
Yeah.
and we take credit. So you're asking what's going to cost me to open a restaurant or how much I want to borrow?
How much do you want to borrow?
I want to borrow around $1 million.
Okay.
Simple as that.
$4,000 a job, they could create a new job with. Compare that
Yeah, but the
with.
stimulus, it's like 400,000
Yeah.
jobs.
Now let me ask you this: if you open a restaurant in Texas or in I'm trying to think of another state that doesn't have taxes, Florida. How much does it cost you to open a restaurant in Florida as opposed to New York City, where the regulation, the taxes, the everything?
We're fortunate we do well in New York City, but we're expanding. The only place we feel
Because you're
comfortable expanding,
Carmine.
I know, but I'll tell you, and you'll laugh. The only place we feel comfortable expanding right now is we're opening Washington, D.C., because they're expanding government. That's where there's money to be spent.
Washington is
So that's where we're opening a restaurant.
It is. And can we remember, all our elected officials, can we remember that 37% of workers, 42 million people in this nation, work for employers that employ 100 employees or less in this nation? That's a huge percentage. I have been working, my partner and I, with a 24-year retired Air Force veteran, served this nation for 24 years, willing to put her home on the line as collateral with equity to open a business. Cut her business startup cost from $147,000 to $40,000. She's still being turned down. Opened a fruit stand to sell 3.2 million tomatoes over the next few years to make her dreams happen. And so we're helping her try to raise funds and so on, use every source of credit possible. Family and friends are reluctant to loan today. That used to be a very good source of income for small businesses, for startup money. People need to understand that small businesses are being drastically affected by all of these concerns, and a lot of people that want to put money into research and development, marketing, advertising, and so on are holding back to see what the heck is going to happen here. And until we know,